Hey guys, welcome to Dylan's Little Hobbies, and today I'm going to be reviewing DreamWorks Dragons Race to the Edge Season 5. And by the way, this is a review, so spoilers. You guys need to go watch this season before you watch this review, because I'll be spoiling everything of it. And by the way, to me at least, this is the very best season of the entire spin-off DreamWorks Dragons series, and I think the big reason why is because it ties in with the second movie just so well. And you know, there are a lot of things that I want to talk about. I will go into detail with some of the things, but you know, if I did the entire season, the entire episode by episode and everything, this video would be, you know, super long. I don't want that to happen, but I am going to be talking about, you know, my favorite parts of the season, my favorite everything, and what I wanted them to do, some things that they didn't do that I wanted them to do, and, you know, so forth. So, without further ado, let's get into the season. Okay, so, last season, they left us on a really big cliffhanger. Their island's volcano blew up and lava is spilling everywhere. And now we actually have to fight that volcano. But you know, the crew's thinking that maybe Mother Nature is telling them that they have to go back to Berk and everything. And I like that. This entire season is all about them thinking that they might have to go back to Berk, and that's perfect because in the second movie, where are they? They're at home on Berk. So I really like the aspects of that. Throughout the entire season, they're always thinking about going back home to Berk throughout the entire season. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And you see, I just really liked what they did with the dragons in this season. It was the best part. So let me talk about at least the first episode. So what happens is they think they need to go home back to Berk, but then on accident they find out that a combination between Grunkle-Ire and Death Song Amber can actually cool down lava very quickly. Now, this is fantastic, but we have a problem here. Number one, we only have one Grunkle. Number two, we don't have any Death Songs around. The Death Song on Amber that they had actually came from a Death Song that they had in previous seasons. They don't have that Death Song. They don't have enough Grunkles to make Grunkle-Ire. So, what are they going to do? Well, it's time to split up the team and go searching for, you know, the things that they need. So, number one, Toothless and his girlfriend go over to go find a Death Song, and they find one. A Death Song which is very injured. And surprisingly enough, they actually recognize the Death Song. The Death Song was a Death Song from a couple seasons ago. They named it Grunt, I believe, and it's badly hurt. Scratched up, injured, not by bite marks, but by scratches. They definitely are from a dragon hunter, so they know that the dragon hunters are still around somewhere, and they know that this season they're going to fight dragon hunters, but right now they have to care for this Death Song. On the other end of the spectrum, we got the Grunkles. Now, when it comes to the Grunkles, you see what they do is they send the twins and, of course, Snotlout into to go find the Grunkles. And this is just really interesting. You know, I'm not a big fan of slap humor or anything like that, and when it comes to just a comic relief character in general, they usually never hit my top 10's favorite character list of the show at all, because they're nothing else but comic relief, and a lot of the comic relief is slap humor, and the twins definitely show that throughout the show. They're nothing but slap humor, and I just usually don't enjoy it. However, when you take a really stupid, dumb character that is established to be really stupid and dumb, but then give them a really fantastic, genius moment. And they've done that with the twins multiple times throughout the series, but this one just topped it all. This one was probably my favorite twin joke throughout the entire show, which is another reason why the season became my favorite. And here's a joke. So they go to find the Grunkles, and the Grunkles are working with this other group of dragons, and they actually say to Fishlegs, no, to Snotlout, sorry, I get the members mixed up every now and again, but the twins actually know the difference between a symbiotic relationship and a parasitic relationship. And if you don't know the difference, then go watch the episode, but I just found it funny that they actually knew exactly what that was. And it was so great for the creators of the show to expand and teach more about the animals around us and about the dragons themselves. I found that to be a fantastic little tidbit that they did. Also, just a thought that kind of came to me. Speaking about the death song, Grunt, a lot of people in real life, they take animals from the wild and they raise them up, and eventually they push them back out into the wild. And here's the problem with that. When they do that, the creatures cannot take care of themselves because, number one, they're too trusting of humans, and if they find another human that they trust, it might be a hunter, and it might be the death of them. And number two, they don't learn any of the survival techniques that they need from their parents. So, they never say anything or hint to anything in the show, but I felt like that would be an interesting thing that they could do. Maybe Grunt got hurt because of Hiccup, because he was he took Grunt when he was a little baby Death Song and everything, and raised him up until he was too big. They released him out. Now look at what happened. He's back super injured and everything. And I just found that really fascinating. They don't hint to that at all, but I almost feel like maybe Grunt, the Death Song, might have been trusting of humans and then almost got killed by the hunters, because maybe it was the Death Songs that went up to the hunters, not the other way around. You know what I mean? That's just a thought that I had. That's very, very interesting to me. I don't know if that's anything, if that has anything to do with the season or anything to do with what the creators were thinking at the time, but it's just something that I kind of thought of on my own. And then let's move on, because at the end of the day, what happens is, of course, they win the day. The volcano is actually stopped because they have Death Song Amber, and they also have Grunkle Iron. They have enough Grunkles to create Grunkle Iron, and even the other dragons that the Grunkles were helping out, they even save them. It's a nice topic, but let's move on. It's a fantastic episode. Definitely a good watch. Now, next, we actually have to talk about this episode because it's another favorite of mine. What happens is, the Death Song Grunt he's causing some trouble around the island, so they have to find him a new home. So they go to release him into the wild again, and what happens is they run into a couple of snake-like dragons. I can't remember the name of these guys, but these guys looked so cool, and I just really like their defense mechanisms. This was really, really fascinating. That's why I love the show, is because the creators, they really put their minds together to create these dragons and create these defenses for these dragons. It's really, really fascinating. And I highly believe, in this season alone, that they did the best job they have ever done in terms of creating these amazing dragons. So what happens is there's a snake dragon that has a poisonous slime coat. You can't touch it or you will be poisoned. However, the Death Song can spit amber. Now the Death Song amber, he can shoot the amber and it can hit dragons and it usually freezes them. But because the snakes have their slime coat, I'm calling them snakes, but they're snake-like dragons. Because of their slime coat, the amber doesn't affect them, and it goes the other way around as well. The Death Song can protect itself as well as other dragons by using its amber, so the Death Song can't touch it with its poison. I just found that absolutely fascinating, and I think that is a true, absolute predator sort of thing. You're on my land, let's fight, and their defenses are just amazing. It's just something that I just really did enjoy about the episode. Now there is another episode that I do want to talk about, and that is the episode where Snotlout finds the Flying Maidens. So what happens is he has a really bad mouth, and he says something. We don't ever find out what he says, by the way. I really want to know what he said, actually. He said something really mean to Astrid. And when he said, and when he told the guys and everything, Hiccup, even Hiccup is like, dude, go grab your dragon, fly off the island for a couple hours and let her cool down, because if you don't, she's going to kill you. I just really found that fascinating. I laughed at that so hard. I loved everything about that moment. It's literally his mouth that got him into so much trouble. So he goes off on his dragon to give Astrid some space and everything. And then he gets stuck in the storm, and the Flying Maidens actually save him. And because of his mouth, the Flying Maidens actually chain him up. There was something about they will eat man or something. I don't think that was 100% true. I think they just locked him up because he had a foul mouth, personally. I don't think that they were going to eat Snotlouts. I don't think that they were going to eat Snotlout at all. But anyway, and by the way, Heather is there in this episode too. And you see, they decide that because he's been so long that they have to go searching for him, and they find the Island of Maidens, and because they're girls, the girls decide, you know what? Why don't you guys take a step back? Let us go save Snotlout. And there's just this really funny scene where they meet the maidens, and the maidens actually think that Roughnut is, or is it Toughnut? It's Roughnut, right? They think that the girl twin is a guy. I love that. That was hilarious to me. That was actually very funny to me. I really did enjoy that. And then we actually find out more of the girl maidens. And when I first saw this in the trailer, I thought that it was going to be these girl maidens that made Hiccup think about his flying chute in episode 2. That doesn't happen. But what does happen is it all has to do with Windcheer. And you see, Windcheer and her type of dragons, when they're mating and everything, when they have their baby dragons, they are so protective of their baby dragons that they absolutely hate male dragons, and they will kill any male that comes near their island. And they are so protective that they don't have time to protect their young. So what the maidens do is they take care of the baby dragons, and they stick them on their back so they can fly until they are strong enough to fly on their own. Or not strong enough to fly on their own, but strong enough to protect themselves. And then they eventually release them out into the wild. again, creativity. The dragons are amazing in this season. The creativity, the thought that they put into this is just absolutely mind-bogglingly amazing. I really, really enjoy that aspect of the show. My favorite part of the show is probably that. But of course, let's move on. There is also, I gotta talk about this very important part. So, there's this one island that they find, which is actually completely made up of bones from the icebreaker dragon in the second movie. They never seen this dragon. They don't know what it is or anything. It's revealed to be in the second movie of what the dragon is. It's that dragon with ice powers. I can't remember the name of it. There are so many dragons in this that I can't remember the name of every single one of them. But it was just a fantastic episode. And, you know, there's these other dragons called the Sentinels. And I thought these were the coolest dragons in the series, other than, of course, Hiccup and Toothless. These were just so extremely cool. And what they are is they're completely blind, but they have a unique sense of smell. And when a dragon comes into their nest, you know, the dragon is supposed to die there. And if the dragon tries to escape, well, these guys get in the middle of it, and they start fighting. And because they've seen so many types of dragons, except for Toothless, you know, being a night fairy and all, because they've seen all these different types of dragons, these dragons are able to fight off so many. It's just fascinating. And what's really interesting is how they actually get off the island is by plummeting themselves with pink, like these berries, because the dragons eat those berries and are able to recognize each other's smell, so they think that these guys with the berries are just them, and they just fly away. It's a really fantastic episode, but it's very important because later on in the season, we travel back to that island where we actually find out that, you see, there's this one thing that has been in the season so far about the Berserker clan. The Berserkers, they don't know where their father is, and they want to know where their father is. Heather has been searching non-stop for her father, and even her brother is amazed at how much she is trying. But unfortunately, Dagger and Hiccup traveled to the island because they found out that, their father could be alive and could be on that island. They open the door, and unfortunately, they find the dead body of Dagger's father, Dagger and Heather's father. That was pretty heavy. That ended that storyline quite well. That was like the most serious moment of the season for me. That was pretty sad to find out that their dad was actually dead and everything. And I just love the character aspect of Dagger in the whole thing. You know, Dagger thinking of that it was his fault, even though he was a little kid. He should have sent a party to go searching for him, but he never did. He was trying to be all evil and cool, but he is deranged. But there's just so much to him that I just really, really liked the character Dagger. Now let's move on to some major spoilers. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to turn off this right now if you do not want to be spoiled, because there is the major spoilers in the season that I'm going to talk about right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're still here, that means you've seen this season and you don't mind me spoiling the biggest spoilers of this season. Spoiler number 1. Oh my god. Somehow, of course we know how, but that villain from last season, Vigo, is still alive. He has a burned up scar now and everything, and he's actually working with the villain of this season as well. The Dragon Eye, it has survived. It is actually at the bottom of a volcano, and eventually he does get it and everything, and that's really interesting. Another very interesting thing is that Hiccup actually built his own Dragon Eye. That was really, really cool. Another thing is that Drago Bloodfist is mentioned 3 times in the entire season. I really like that because it ties in with the second movie so well. I really, really liked the fact that they didn't show him very much, but they did talk about, or at least shown, some things related to Dagger. I really, really did enjoy that. Of course, until the second movie, these guys are not going to meet Dagger anytime soon. So whether Dagger will be, I believe Dagger will be talked about in the next season as well. I highly doubt that we are going to see him because he's supposed to be in the second movie, right? But I really did like the fact that they are tying those lines between the show and the second movie like that. That's brilliant to me. I really do enjoy that of the show. Like I said, very best season. But the very best spoiler to me of the entire show, the very best twist of the entire show, is Trader Johann. Or should I say Trader Johann. So, let me talk about Johann for a second. Johann, he was introduced in the first season of the show, and Johann is... I've never really liked the character, I've never disliked the character, I never hated the character, but every time he's on the screen, and more as the show went on, I felt that Johann was a character that I was kind of getting bored with. I was, every time he was on screen after that, I was like, oh, get this guy off screen. It's just his bad jokes, his lame stories. It doesn't make for a good character at all. But then this twist happened. It turns out that he's working for the bad guys, and he's been working around the archipelago for years. He's actually a villain. And he's been trying to get... Wait for it. He's been trying to get the very thing that Hiccup and the gang have been trying to get for a while now. The Dragon Eye is what they're trying to get. And not only that, but Heather actually has a Dragon Eye lens on her belt, and she never knew that was a Dragon Eye lens. No one knew that was a Dragon Eye lens, except for Johann. And Johann actually does get the Dragon Eye lens and sticks it into the Dragon Eye and everything. And we don't get to see it, but he's excited to see what his hard work of trying to be an idiot all this entire couple of years has led up to. And what's really interesting is that it was Heather that had it. Not only did Heather have it, but it was a gift from her father. So what does the Berserker family have to do with that Dragon Eye? What's the history behind there? I'm hoping that will be told next season. I'm very interested in that. Of course, it has to have a lot to do with the Master Dragon that is in the second episode, because that Master Dragon, its bones are on that island and everything. I'm very, very fascinated in that. I cannot wait to see what that leads up to and everything. And that's all I'm going to talk about in this episode. There is so much I could tell you guys. This was such a fantastic season. And I didn't even get to talk about all the dragons. There's even this one dragon that's named the Sandbuster. And it has a really cool effect. It eats sand and it spits out glass, actually. It's really, really cool. It actually cools on contact and everything. There, I talked about it. It was just such a fantastic season, guys. Let me know down in the comments down below what you guys thought of the season. I really did enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out. Bye.